Welcome. In this video, I will look at a mail server running a protocol that that will lead to exposure of its web mail services. That protocol is the Finger protocol. The Finger protocol operates on port 79 and is used to find information about users on a computer or network. So basically, the Finger protocol will allow users to check details for other users on the system. And the things that they could search for will be their real names, where they log in from, their email address, and other personal information. So basically, how it works is that the client sitting down at some location will send a request on port 79. And if the individual is if the individual has an account on that system, their record is going to be sent to the client. So there is a security issue with that. Because Finger can review personal information, many systems have disabled it for privacy reasons. And nowadays it's not widely used. Okay? Because there are other ways that you can communicate with people on a network now. You have messaging apps that you can use to do that. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using, I've been reading a textbook by Hacker House, and it's one of their labs that I'm going to be doing. And the book is really a nice book, and people that are aspiring to get into cybersecurity needs to check it out. So I know two things. I'm not going to run other commands to find out what ports are open on the server. I already did that, and I know which port are open on the server. So what I want to do, I know port 79 is open. I know port 80 is open. And because this is a mail server, I want to also see whether it is running anything like a webmail. So I want to test and check the server, see what's going on that server. And when I do that, I find out that they have a webmail login. So I could poke around, and I know most times you have default username and default password admin. So I'm going to try that and see whether it works. And I get an error that the password does not exist. So I don't want to keep trying, and then most times I get caught up in a lockout threshold. So I know something, I can identify something on the site, which is running ScaraMail version 1.4.18. Okay. The next thing I see, a contact email. Okay. So now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to my terminal and look at the Finger protocol and see whether John K exists on that server. When I do that, I see John K is there. He got a home directory. So this tells me it's probably a Linux system. And you see a bin bash. He has no mail, has never logged in, and none of his plans are being displayed. So, but something I noticed about that site is that the naming of accounts, you got first name, last name, initial. So what I will do, I have a word list, and I'm going to use that word list to generate a list of users with the first name and then with names with initials from A to Z. So if you look at, if I just cat the word list file, and it's names short. If I cat that, you see I have a whole list of names in it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate a username list with Andrew from Andrew A to Andrew Z, Andrea A to Andrea Z, and onwards until I get a new username file, right? So I'm gonna use a for name command to do that. So if I paste that, I'm not going to send it to the username file right away. You're going to see what's going to happen. So you see Zulu, from Zulu A all the way to Zulu Z, and so forth. So now I'm going to run it again and send it to a file. And the name of that file will be called user names.txt. And when I cat that file, you'll see that it has already been created. So now I'm going to use this username file. I'm going to cat it and pass it to the finger command. Okay. So I'll do that. And I'm not going to send it to a file because I want you to see what is going to happen. So I'm going to cat these names. I'm going to use parallel. Parallel will help you to do multi-threading. And I will use 5. Okay. If you increase the number of threads, you may probably cause the system to crash. So if you look here now, so what I'm doing is I'm taking each of these usernames and I'm going to finger the server to request these names. If they exist, I'm going to get a reply. I'm not going to go through the entire. I'm going to do it so by the time I see one, because I already have the file with the name of the users. So when I press the enter key, it's telling me no user, no user, no user. It's going to keep going, and then we're going to find a user. So I left, I didn't filter, I didn't grep it because I wanted you to see it going across the screen. See, by the time we get to Charles W, I think it is going to find one. So we'll find one. We got Charlie W. See that? So I'm going to cancel that. So it's going to go through the entire file and it's going to generate. It's going to request those names, and then those names that are on the server going to be returned to the screen. But if you look at the file in here, these are the names that I will get. So you got Charlie W, John K, Jenny Y, Peter P, Roberta A, and Sarah Link. So now that I have the real users yet, I'm now going to use the tool called hard drive to try to brute force the POP service running on the mail server. So when I do that, so these are the real users and the password file, okay? And then the IP address and then the service that I want to brute force. So when I do that, because these passwords are weak, it doesn't take that long to get cracked. I mean, to get brute force rather. Okay, so we have that. So let's test one. Let's test John K webmail. So I go back in there, type John K, and put in the password webmail, and log in, and I have access to the server. All right. So this just tells you that if you have ports running on your system that is vulnerable and could expose your servers and your network, you want to close them. You want to make sure that if you run your service and the service is outdated, you probably want to patch it, update it to prevent your system from being exposed. Thanks for watching, and look up for other videos that I will be bringing from the textbook by Hacker House. Thank you.